me tell you that the SPI Group is going to be hosting an immersive and engaging event, the Global Innovation Summit and Innovation Awards, on the 1st of September at the Jumeirah Beach Hotel. It's going to be held under the patronage of Her Excellency Sheikh Lubna bin Khalid Al Qasimi, Minister of International Cooperation and Development. The platform is going to be bringing together an unrivaled combination of thought leaders, and it will focus on disruptive technologies, covering areas such as smart cities, artificial intelligence, IoT, mobile innovation, 3D printing, and of course, much, much more. So if you would like to attend that event on the 1st of September, be sure to register at www.innovationsummit.ae. And now, without further ado, I think it's time for us to start the felicitation ceremony. So could we please give a warm welcome and request our guest of honor to come to the stage, Miss Mona Ataya. It's a pleasure to have you with us. And now could I also request to come to the stage Aladdin DC, Head of Acquisitions and Distribution, Emirates MBD Business Banking. And also to come to the stage, the CEO of SPI Group, Shantanu AP. Could you please make your way to the stage as well? Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give them a big round of applause. And now it's time to introduce our moderator for this evening. It's a man that we all know well, Mr. Tariq Qureshi. He is the founder and CEO of Vantage Holdings and 100% Mad. He's also the media representative and advisor for Bloomberg TV and multimedia in the Middle East. Tariq's media and broadcast experience includes radio, TV, print, speaker, panelist, and moderating specialized conferences internationally. Let's give him a round of applause as well. Mr. Tariq Qureshi stood to our right. Now, before we invite you to begin the proceedings of the evening, just a few house rules, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, if you haven't done so already, please be sure to turn your mobile phones onto silent. However, we would like you to use your mobile phones if you're planning on tweeting this evening, because we're going to be live tweeting about the event, and we're going to be using the official hashtag, which is GBS/Insights. So if you'd like to tweet about the event, please also use that official panel. And now, enough from me. I think it's time to hand over to the professional himself, Tariq Qureshi.
Thank you. Thank you, Anthea. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. How are you? Feeling good? Energized? Today is a tremendous privilege for me personally, and I think for all of us, because after almost 2 years since this whole series started, 19 people later, we have the first lady guest. I don't know why we haven't had more. So she's broken the mold for us, and I'm absolutely delighted. Delighted because I think we have seen almost all kinds of people come here, rags to riches stories, leaders of businesses, people who started from nothing and created their whole business future from here. And the energy, the entrepreneurial energy that is already there in this market. And we touched on various heartfelt stories there. Today is another story. And this is a story, when I was thinking about talking to Mona, she's an amazing, amazing role model. I mean, I think she should be put on a poster outside on Sheikh Zayed Road of a mother, a businesswoman, and she's a family person. I know her brother very well, and he talks very highly of her. She's done a lot of social work. But what we are talking about today is her experiences and her journey as an entrepreneur, because that is what the essence of this evening is. So initially, we'll start and have a chat with her, and then it'll be very interactive. We'll open it up, and it's wonderful to see a lot of new faces here, so welcome to everybody. And I'll start with Mona. Mona, welcome. You know, I'm very famous to get people to cry, so I've got 3 people to cry, so I'm going to not do that today. No, not the audience and the star and the guest both. No, it's just that it's about heart, and it's about how we are able to connect to the audience and to the issues that we have. Let me go back to right at the beginning and early stages of your life. Who was your mentor? Who was the person who really shaped you for what you are today?
Good evening, everyone. First of all, it's a pleasure to be here, so thank you for taking the time to come and listen to us today. I'm asked a lot about my childhood inspiration, and it's always, to me, the most difficult question, because as you grow up, there are many inspirations around you, from your family to your friends to your teachers, etc. And everybody in your journey of life plays a role in essentially shaping you. If I had to name 1 or 2 inspirations that stand out, I would start perhaps with my father, who at a very young age taught us that if there's anything that you want in this world, you need to go out there and get it. So essentially, from a very young age, whatever we needed, whether it was a toy, a hobby, even our academics, our parents kind of gave us free rein to go out there and find a way to get what gave us pleasure. And it was very much a trial and error to kind of find that journey. The other inspiration at a very young age was an English teacher who asked me once to write a journal. And she said that once a week I'm going to check your journal. So every Thursday, we would hand over our journal to the English teacher. And the first time she read it, she came back to me and she threw it on the table and she said, "This is not good enough. Go do it again." So I went out there and I wrote my journal again on things that I did every day. And I gave her the journal on the Thursday. She came back again and said, "This isn't good enough." So then I asked her, "So what is a journal entry that in your opinion is good enough?" I was 14 years old. And she said, "A journal entry, in my opinion, that's good enough is one that shows me something that nobody else can see." So essentially, when you're walking from your mom's car to the school, what are you seeing around you that others wouldn't necessarily see? What experiences with people have you experienced that are unique to you as Mona Ataya? And that exercise I think opened for me a door to discovery and to looking at things in a way that others typically would not look at things, and to cherish everything that's around me, both physical and the emotional side of people, and really to probe deep into the world around me. So I would say these are the 2.
It's very interesting you say that, because the way a blind person sees is entirely different to people like you and me with sight. And one of the most famous books written was Iliad by Homer, and he was blind, and he wrote an entire book through his eyes, and they have a different sight. So it's very interesting you're saying that, because in our business life we actually have started missing out on the fact that there is, things between the lines, things that other people don't see. Has that affected your life, and are you now transferring it to your children?
The way I lead my life and the way I try to teach my children is about seeing things that others don't, about doing things that others don't want to do, and to always strive for excellence in everything you do. So it's about every single day looking around you and saying, how can I look at things differently, and how can I make a difference that's different? And it all boils down to what we talked about earlier, and that's this notion of excellence. So as an example, if I'm able to see through or see things that others don't see, then I'm able to solve the equation perhaps in a different way, or analyze something perhaps in a different way.
Right from the early days, you have been business-oriented, and I think there are some examples in your early stages in your life where, even as a kid, you used to sell chewing gum and stuff just to make money. Can you share that story with us, and how it's reflected in your lives now?
So again, this goes back to the way we were raised. My father came back from the States. We were, I think, 9. and he bought a pack of Hubba Bubba. These are these big chewing gums that make big bubbles. And we were fascinated by these fantastic chewing gums. So he gave each of us, we're 5 siblings. Back then we were 3. So he gave each of us one Hubba Bubba, and we started making bubbles all day, and we were so delighted by that experience, and we asked for more. And so my dad turned to the 3 of us at the time and said, if you want more, you need to essentially find a way to get more. So you need to convince me to give you more. And I said, how can I convince you to give me more? He said, you need to essentially earn it. And that's when I thought, maybe I can go to the school and show them this new chewing gum, sell a couple of chewing gums, make some money, go back to my father and say, okay, I'll buy one for a dinar. And that's essentially my first experience in trading and earning my Hubba Bubba. It sounds a bit mean right now, and I know that, when my husband does that to our children, I say, that's, child abuse. You can't do that to the children. You need to give them their chewing gums. So things have changed, and I think, now children are growing up in a completely different world where oftentimes they get things easier than we did, but certainly for me, it served me well in the early days, knowing that for every benefit, for every incoming, there's an outgoing.
As you were growing that, and we'll stay with your, when you were growing up and in your youth, because you are in your business dealing with a lot of young people, so your early insights are extremely relevant to be able to understand and share. What memories are there with you from those days that you're translating into your business today?
Again, it's about accountability and ownership and knowing what you want and finding a way to get it. So the journey to your end result has certain steps. And if you learn very early on to be resourceful, then that's what it's all about in life, whether it's with your children, how you raise your children, or how you manage an organization, how you manage people. It's about how resourceful are you. And we talked about this earlier. So oftentimes you go to people and you say, why did you not succeed in this particular project? And the person will tell you, oh, I didn't have the right people, or I didn't have enough money, or I didn't have, the landscape wasn't well equipped for me, so I didn't have the right resources to allow me to succeed. The reality is they didn't have the right resourcefulness to get the resources. So when you learn accountability and ownership and how to be resourceful at a young age, this is something that you translate to your business later on.
What did you study at college?
So I studied finance and marketing.
Finance and marketing. And obviously, do you remember much of what you did in finance and marketing, and do you apply it today?
Interestingly enough, I started college as a medical student initially. So I went into a 6-year medical program in the States.
Okay.
And the reason I did that is because from a very young age, I wanted to change the world. And I thought the best way to change the world is to help people, to be a doctor. So I went into university in the 6-year medical program. In the second year, I was doing an internship in a hospital in Boston. And I took an economics course. And that's when I decided that that was my passion. That was my drive. So very, very different. And that's when I said, I'm going to follow my instinct, my passion.
Fast forward to today. Could you just give us a 1-minute version of what Mum's World is and what it does, so that everybody's on the same page, and then we can drive from there, please?
So Mum's World is today the largest online